Today in the crypto space, we see the market taking a bit of a breather. Bitcoin down to about 67,000. Ethereum hovering around that $2,600 mark, down approximately 1%. And the rest of the crypto space, the altcoins are holding steady with a bit of a dip here. We have Caspa coming down. We have Maker, Pepe, Bonk, HBAR, and many others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator. But more importantly, I want to talk about one project, one altcoin that is definitely retracing as well, potentially looking forward to a nice bottom level for a bounce, and that project is called Arweave. So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with the general market. We'll take a look at the market cap. You can see that it's still doing okay. Yes, it fell just a little bit, but it's still around $2.4 trillion. Totally fine. Trading volume took a bit of a hit in the last little while. Okay, still doing okay. If we do get a nice little bounce, see some more market participation, a bit of volume to the upside, it's likely that we continue the trend to the upside with regards to market cap, which would be absolutely healthy for this space to see more capital flow in. So we're gonna have to be patient. You know, the market works in peaks and valleys. It doesn't go up in one green candle. We could be in a slight retracement for the next little while. So let's just be patient with that. Bitcoin doing its thing, down 1.4%. Ethereum down another 1.2% for the day. And you can see a lot of the altcoins currently down just a little bit. Obviously, based on Bitcoin's lead, we're seeing a bit of the sell-off. So a bit of that fear comes in, and people start, getting defensive on their gains, because there's some individuals that are definitely in the profit at the current moment, buying those bottoms. And AVAX is retracing. We have Cardano retracing. Many projects are currently retracing, however, not breaking character. What's most important at the current moment is that we realize that the trend is still our friend for the majority of the market, majority of the altcoins. Like if you look at even Cardano, that is currently testing the previous low, still okay. You could get another a double bottom here and a bounce and continue to the upside. It could structure out going sideways within a range and then continue like a bull flag to continue to the upside. AVAX is still looking good. I know this looks like a rollover. The reality is it's been doing pretty good in the last little while. It's still up 6.3% in the last 7 days. So we have to understand, like, big picture, the market is still healthy, and just in the last 24 hours, we're taking a bit of a breather. So that's that. We see Polkadot rolling over. Unfortunately, Polkadot is definitely underperforming. Litecoin looking very strong, 2.2% to the upside. But we have other projects that are breaking structure. Like I mentioned, breaking character to the downside is not a good look. 4.7% for ICP to the downside, making a lower low. Not a good look whatsoever. Caspa as well, rolling over slightly, considerably, making lower lows here is not a good look either. If he gets a bit of a pop, some relief, and confirms a lower high, definitely not good for Caspa. Guys, I've been talking about Caspa's, chart, that it doesn't look very, bullish, and it was actually looking quite bearish in the last little while. And it's all obviously premised by some of the fundamental aspects behind the fundamentals that I feel that Caspa is overvalued at the current moment. I know the Caspians don't think that, but the reality is that the tech, in my opinion, has a lot more to grow in order for it to compete with the bigger picture market, right? If you're going to try to compete with Bitcoin, good luck with that one. Let's keep on going down. What else do we have here? We have stacks up higher highs and higher lows, still doing great. And as you can see, a lot of the projects are doing a very similar thing. still grinding, either grinding to the upside, going sideways like OP. We'll take a sideways price action all day long, right? It could still hold up here. We have to understand that the range is still defined, and if we do come down for another lower low, you know exactly where to put your invalidation, which is at that previous low. The market is okay, guys. Now I do see the negativity here. We just need to prepare and try to stay one step ahead of the market, of course. And Arweave, we're going to take a look at Arweave in a second. We'll take a look at Bitcoin as a leading indicator to see exactly what could happen in the immediate short term, and then we'll take a look at Arweave, because Arweave, at the end of the day, in my opinion, I personally feel that I am underexposed. I feel like it could be a really good gainer given the fact that there's a lot of bullish updates happening on chain, and of course that deep dive, that research is very, very important so that you get fundamentally bullish on projects. But we'll take a look at the chart to see if there's opportunities for us to scale in. And as I continue scrolling down, you can see that the market is still okay, like either sideways or upward sloping. All right, guys, let's jump right into some charts. I know you're to talk about charts as well, so let's take a look at the Bitcoin price first, and then we'll take a look at Arweave. Bitcoin, what are you doing? Bitcoin, at the end of the day, getting a bit of a rejection. Now, does it have to be a full-on rejection, or could it be a rejection like we've seen in the past, like this one, like that one, or even like these, right, where we come back up for a test, for a confirmation, and on those confirmations anything could happen. All right, guys, let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. At the end of the day, like I said, anything could happen. It's a game of probability, guys. There's no certainty. And as I mentioned yesterday and a couple of days ago, I said ultimately Bitcoin at this level is really, if we're going to respect the trend, it's going to get rejection. And this is the reality. There's enough individuals in the space to at least see a bearish reaction, and it could even go up a little bit higher and still get a bearish reaction. You know what I mean? Because ultimately we didn't even get to touch this trend line. If we bring it down a little bit and just include the bodies and more touches, you can see that this is very valid as well. But we're going to keep it very loose here and keep it very loose. In that way, we can be very open-minded to what the possibility is here. Ultimately, I'm expecting more of a structure, a double top at best, even a triple top. Let's see what happens there with some sort of ascending wedge so that we can anticipate a rollover. At this current moment, we're still making higher highs and higher lows. I understand the rejection here. I get it. There are individuals that bought bottoms or bought supports and are currently into some profit and are not willing to risk their profit or put their profits at risk by not taking them off the table. So we have to understand that we got to respect that there are people that are trading lower time frames, and this is what it's happening. But ultimately, there are bulls that are going to be hanging around here that potentially will be buying the short-term dips in expectation that this thing breaks out. So what's going to happen in the meantime? In the meantime, we should see a bit of negativity on the altcoins as Bitcoin sells off, because Bitcoin selling off triggers fear in the market. It triggers that lower cap altcoins that basically are a lot more volatile and a lot more risky because of it are going to be de-risked. Essentially, position sizes are going to get smaller. In other words, they're going to be selling off in anticipation that Bitcoin could come down even lower. And you have to understand that that's a mechanism of risk to reward and risk management. Okay, so that's very important. But then after that, as soon as we see a bullish structure on Bitcoin, it could even be a nice bull flag right into here. If we get a nice flag structure right into here, a symmetrical triangle, even a pennant, if we get something like that, it definitely will show some bullishness for the potential altcoins to run, right? And this is what we're going to watch out for, is structure. Number one, we wait for structure. Number two, we could wait for support. So at this current moment, we're looking like it wants to fall. Let it fall. Where could it get support? 64,600, maybe. Good amount of volume here. Point of control, 6,300. Let's see what happens. Our worst case scenario, we start breaking below the 200 daily again, because we've done it so many times, scrubbed right through it and disrespected it so many times that we can't negate the fact that it could happen again, right? It would leave us basically vulnerable. Let's prepare. But still, I would like a little bit more data up here, guys. One touch is not enough. We've got two touches, and three touches here. I want at least two touches for me to get, somewhat bearish here and to expect a major rollover. Okay, so the daily's still okay. Ultimately, if you look at momentum, we're still okay. We haven't yet get overbought yet. And we can see that the trend, the yellow line, the trend in the momentum is still doing great. We're still making higher lows, and we kind of got a double top, so it's not the greatest greatest, but if we break above, we go for another higher high, we expand to the upside with regards to momentum, get above the 70, which gives us the major expansion. And if we get the major expansion, Bitcoin is going to start to fly. And if it flies, guess what's going to happen to the altcoins? You know, in the short term, they'll go sideways while Bitcoin does its thing and works its magic. But then after that, rotation, altcoins will start to fly. Okay, so this is what we really have to pay attention to. Obviously, now we see that volatility left this level. Volatility is up here now. So I understand the sentiment to want to short. Just understand that we could bounce around here for a little while. And also look at the expansions in the background. Look at this massive one. Smaller. That's basically diverging. It's basically tapering off. It's basically waiting for some green expansions, which we have one already in the works. Let's get some other ones. Let's get some bigger ones. And let's get this reversed so that we can see the momentum shift to the upside in a bullish way, right? Are we ready to go? Most likely. Now, if you look at the trend oscillator, also looking really good in the bullish control zone. EMA's green histogram bar is facing up. Purple expansion there. Everything's good with the bullish divergence. Everything's looking great here for follow through and continuation. Now, lately I've been looking at the 4-day as well, because the 4-day is giving us some really good bullish signals. You can see how nicely rounded this is, that eventually we should start breaking to the upside. And in fact, if you start, maybe putting some trend lines right here, you could probably, come up with an argument that maybe we are breaking just by connecting bodies, right? And which, TAs can be manipulated a little bit to kind of form a thesis, but what we can't negate is the fact that momentum is slowly rounding off here alongside the price action, and that the trend oscillator is also showing bullish divergence here. The EMA is facing up, green histogram bars, and a purple expansion ready to go. So there is bullishness on the 4-day. The daily looks primed, and smaller time frames, those dips on lower time frames are for buying, especially the altcoins. Okay, guys, so that's that. Bitcoin is looking okay on multiple time frames, and I usually don't cover the 4-day, but we have to anticipate that what is being built on the daily is in preparation for a 4-day expansion, which is a massive one. All right, guys, let's take a look at what's going on with Arweave. Arweave at the end of the day is in a great place. Price-wise, structure-wise, chart-wise, it's in a great place. Let's get onto the 4-day so we can kind of consolidate price action a little bit and look at what's happening big picture. Big picture is always good. Zoom out once a day, get into those big picture time frames so you can kind of come up with a plan, because really the hope is obviously that this horizontal acts as support. And the reason why I wanted to act as support is because we have confluence here. We have the volume that picks up a little bit here. We have this top, and we have some price action right here to kind of deal with, right? So we got a bit of confluence, and don't forget the wick that touched, and don't forget that we're coming down in a way that does look like it's rounding a little bit. Okay, so it could be that eventually it becomes a bottom. And if it does, I want to make sure that I have exposure here, because really, if we do Fibonacci, let's do a bit of Fibonacci analysis here. From the low to the high, straight to the high. This is a golden pocket retracement, guys. This is a golden pocket. Statistically speaking, golden pockets have high probability of reversals. Okay. However, if you are looking for a fire sale deal, you're waiting for the 886, which is right down here. Okay. And this is the 786, which is also a great level to DCA. 3 DCA levels. 1, 2, 3, all on spot, small bags, 30, 40%, and then you build your position with a good average for a potential bounce and eventually, going up for that higher high. If you want to make sure that you get a better entry, you got to get on lower time frames, guys. But just understand that on lower time frames, you're going to have a lot more volatility. And if you're going to get a lot more volatility, just understand you're increasing the risk. So at the current moment, this is what we're looking at. If you go into the daily, what does this look like? It looks like a wedge, right? It looks like a descending wedge, and descending wedges, have a bullish bias. I know it doesn't look bullish as it's falling, but the reality is that we're waiting for it to break structure. We're waiting for it to break. In fact, we want break of structure, so we break to the upside. In fact, what we want is a change of character, because as of now, all we have been doing is making lower lows and lower highs. So what I'm going to do is kind of like introduce another line here, and I'm going to make that line, see if it marries up right into this level, which it kind of does. Okay, so it looks pretty good. Let me make it a bit thicker because we can emphasize its importance right here. And you can see it is a descending wedge, right? And we want to get closer to the apex of the wedge, which is, you know, where it tightens up a lot, like right down here. And if we can get into this level, we also have confluence with the horizontal, which obviously, guys, if you've been following me here, I appreciate horizontal so much more, and I'm putting emphasis on this horizontal again based on these tops and all of that. So $16.20. Now, it doesn't have to hit there. In fact, we could get a reversal now. The only thing that I can say is that we're not making higher highs and higher lows just yet. We're still making lower lows and lower highs, so we could come down a little bit more. But this is a good DCA area. This is where I feel like positions can start to be built. Buy a little bit here, buy a little bit down here, buy a little bit on a higher high, buy a little bit on a confirmation low, a higher low, buy a little bit on a breakout, buy a little bit on the break of the 200 daily. Guys, ultimately, if you can build a position, okay, all into this level, okay, generally speaking, right, you're talking about just getting back to previous high. You're talking about 136%, okay, which is great. You can take your initial investment off the table at that point. You can take a bit of profit. You can trail up a stop loss well into profit, and then you can expect it to continue. Why? Because that's not even all-time high. The reality is all-time high is all the way over here, above $85. Crazy potential for another higher high. Now, again, let's go back to Fibonacci theory and start implementing some the Fibonacci tool here. If we go from swing high to swing low, let's take the wick. Doesn't make a difference. We start looking at extension levels. It's a minor difference. We start looking at extension levels. We have the 1.27. We have the 1.618. We have the previous top. With I would assume that this is where the volume kind of diminishes right into here. So we can trail it up just a little bit. You can see that. So this is a zone where I'm expecting a bit of resistance, but we still didn't break out of the previous high. So you get what I mean. There's a lot of opportunity here. Definitely to see Arweave get a fat bounce and even getting back to previous high, hitting 1.618 extension levels, very confluent levels. You're talking about 300% minimum, okay, which is good. Then we start saying, okay, that's it. What about all-time highs price discovery? What about actually getting to the 2.618, the 3.618, the 4.618? All of that is very, very possible, especially once we get that altcoin season. We see Bitcoin run. We're going to see some real magic in the altcoin market. And you want to make sure that you have your positions built nice and early, especially at confirmation bottoms, higher lows. And why am I saying that this is a higher low? Let's zoom out. Let's kind of stretch this a little bit. In fact, we can get back into the 4-day to consolidate price action. The reality is, guys, if this forms a bottom right into here, it's going to be a low that is higher than this one. And this is going to be a high. And if we break this high, it's another higher high. Guys, we're going to start going parabolic after that, because it's going to be the majority of the confirmation is that we are making now higher highs and higher lows. We have a trend to the upside with massive expansions, big moves to the upside. We're talking about massive moves from bottoms, from down here to up here, looking at 800, 900%. Crazy opportunity there. Now, what about the next leg? Now, if you use Elliott wave theory, I know I'm bouncing around with many theories, but it's very important to, kind of have a few tools, in your tool belt, because then that way you can kind of like, get into different trading strategies. You can see that if we go up here, that's the length of the first wave. But technically speaking, if we're going to consider this an impulsive move where we get a 5-wave structure to the upside and we are going to get into a nice parabolic move, this leg, the third leg, this is the first, this is the second, which is the retracement, and if this is going to be the third leg technically has to be bigger than the first leg in order to consider this a 5-wave impulsive structure. So why stop here? What I'm trying to say is that we can go up a lot higher for that next leg and we can see a massive move to the upside. Now, this is not going to go up in one green lightsaber to the upside. There'll be a few little peaks and valleys along the way, but no more major lower lows, maybe micro lower lows and lower highs at one point for a bit of a dip and then continuation. But ultimately, guys, we want a leg to the upside that blows past all of this. And guess what? Look at the volume. The volume gives you that opportunity. We taper out the volume at about $44. It's not that strong. Look at the volume in comparison to this general area and this general area in comparison to this at $60 zone. It's weak. It's nowhere in comparison to down here. So guess what, guys? Let's buy the dips. Let's accumulate a bit of a position. If you're fundamentally bullish, guys, that is a great place to be at. When you believe in the project, you like the fundamentals, you like the team, the tokenomics, all those little details and the roadmap. If you like all of that, guys, it makes it a lot easier to deploy capital. So let's go back into the daily here quick. Let's kind of look at what could happen. What we really want to do is get a bit of a confirmation, and price action is king. You know, momentum, all of that is great, right? But price action is king. What we want is a higher high at any given point. At least give us a higher high and a higher low, and those are generally how nice pivot point structures are built. Okay, so let's keep an eye on it. Definitely put it on a watch list. I am slowly deploying a bit of capital, because ultimately once we get the higher high and higher low pivot point structure, it's almost too late. And of course the sentiment is that you're buying local tops at this point, because you're looking for breakouts out of these previous highs, and of course we got to break out someday. The problem is that you're not buying absolute bottoms. The absolute bottoms could be right now, we don't know. That's why DCAing is great. Slowly build your position, and as I mentioned, look at the divergence in momentum. We are definitely making lower lows on the price action with higher lows on the momentum here on the daily. Class A bullish divergence, and we also have divergence on the trend oscillator. Clearly expansions are moving to the upside while the price is falling. Divergence, horizontal supports, potential descending wedges here, and a change of character and structure, guys. What else do we need? Start to DCA. Obviously, guys, not financial advice, but I'm going to be live tonight. Of course, if you have any questions or any concerns or any projects you want me to cover, that is a great time and place to make those requests. And of course, if you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is a great community. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. See you tonight. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.